Hey everyone, happy Friday and happy release day to Ohio band Red Sun Rising on their sophomore album, Thread. Their debut record, Polyester Zeal, generated 2 back-to-back number ones on the Billboard mainstream rock chart. So some pretty high standards were expected of their second album, and I absolutely think they delivered. I've listened to Thread on repeat several times. I've recommended it to several people already. I think it's great. I'm really looking forward to hearing some of these songs live, as their tour in support of this album started on March 18th in Syracuse, New York. But they will be embarking on a tour across the United States, as well as hitting some of the big Monster Energy music festivals, specifically starting at the end of April with Welcome to Rockville in Jacksonville, where yours truly will be covering and hopefully interviewing the group as well. Mike Prodich has a strong voice with a wide range. His vocals almost remind me of a combination of Scott Weiland when he was singing for Velvet Revolver and Michael Poulsen from Volbeat. I think that this album goes pretty deep lyrically. There's a lot of different messages that are given throughout it. I'm going to talk about a couple of the songs today. I don't want to spoil the album, but I'm mainly going to focus on the singles that were released and one of my favorites outside of those. Track 1 is Fascination. I think that this was the perfect song choice for the opener for the album. It has a very slow but progressive build-up, and once it does, it kind of just explodes into the rest of the song. The guitars are really crisp and high-pitched and kind of have that carnivalesque sound that Sweet Child of Mine has. The vocals are a lot softer during the verses, but he does demonstrate his range in the choruses. Fascination sets the standard, sets the precedent for how pretty much the rest of the album is going to sound. Track 2 is Left for Dead. I like the sound of this a lot. There's a big switch between acoustic and electric guitars, so the tempo and the vibe changes up a little bit. The vocals are also more prominent than they were on the first track, and they are especially strong more towards the end of the song. And then you get to Death Wish. Death Wish is kind of just all over the place. Honestly, when I first heard it, I thought I was listening to 3 different songs, and I realized that I had still been on the same one the whole time. It starts off with a very catchy, chanty, melodic tempo, and the chorus and the verse matches that. And then once you get to the second verse, there's this rolling drum beat that almost sounds like it's out of place. So I wasn't really too crazy about that until I got to the end of the song, and I realized how many different phases the song went through. And the music video actually reflects that. I definitely suggest going and checking out the music video. It was pretty interesting. It goes from being fast and upbeat and loud and in your face to more pulled back. There's a little bit of a piano melody at the end, which I thought was really interesting. The song ends on an entirely different note from what it began on. So I think it was really creative and really cool and makes it stand out a lot against the other songs. And finally, the last song I am going to go into detail about is Rose. This is the second to last track on the record, and I'm choosing to talk about this one because it stood out to me sound-wise as the most nostalgic to a rock ballad. I think that every record needs a rock ballad, and I think that they delivered with this one. The guitars are really crisp and loud during the choruses, but are basically not even there during the verses to really lend all of the attention to the vocals. And it's definitely a softer, slower love song, so it stands out against a lot of the other ones. This record does have a lot of different sounds on it. It really doesn't start to blend at all. The songs are all unique in their own way. You have Death Wish, which is basically the wild child of the album. It just goes back and forth between tempos and sounds. And then you have a song like Stealing Life, which has a slower, more acoustic sound. I honestly have to say that my favorite song on the record so far, which I'm sure it will change, but as of right now, it's Stealing Life. I think that Stealing Life has a really deep and important, hopeful message of holding on when the going gets tough. Ultimately, I think that Red Sun Rising really delivered with this second album. I think that the sound that Red Sun Rising has is something that we really need in rock and roll, because they carry more of those classic and alternative influences, and they just channel a really good chill but hard rock sound at the same time. So when you go to these festivals, you know, there's a lot of metal bands and a lot of stuff that sounds the same. So I think that Red Sun Rising really sticks out in today's world of modern rock and roll. I'm really looking forward to seeing where this album takes them and what they have to offer live, because I personally have never seen them before. Go check out Thread, go catch Red Sun Rising on their tour. Comment below, let me know what you guys think and what your favorite songs off the album are.